Welcome to the marvelous world of poetry, the World Poetry Cafe at 100.5 FM.
Bienvenidos al mundo de la poesía, el mundo de la poesía café. Sintonízanos 100.5 FM.
The World Poetry Cafe is for you, the radio listeners, the stars of the night. Together we can create a universe of respect and love.
Bienvenue au domaine merveilleux du Café mondial des poètes, 100.5.
Halina't makinig sa kawili-wiling, daigdig ng tula, ang kapehan at radyo ng mga makata ng sanlibutan.
So welcome to the World Poetry Cafe, 100.5 FM, broadcasting around the world, including now at times to Patagonia. Bienvenidos al mundo magnífico de la poesía, 100.5 FM. Today we have a really exciting show. We have our First Nations welcome, of course, as we've done for 23 years. And we have a marvelous Greek poetess who will be doing a poem. And we also have Kara Downey, reporter for Real World Poetry, doing a promo for a special guest who isn't here with us, but has had a world premiere, Buffy Sainte-Marie. And then we have and meet the team. We have Victor Kelly, welcome back, Kelly, and Sharon Story, The Great Switcheroo, and that's from her first book. And then we go back to our wonderful guest, and she is going to talk about her new book and her trip to the USA and what she's doing. And it's really special to me because she's a Greek poetess and a wonderful friend and a great advocate for peace. So here we're going and starting now. And I'd like to say that we've been doing for years. We're honored to be on First Nation unceded territory. And we're honored to be on in New Westminster, British Columbia, the Sartnett people. Thank you so much. And in Vancouver area, we're honored to be on the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples' land and territory. So really appreciate that. And I'm just going to do a very brief intro because she's going to be doing a recorded poem. So we're going to do, I want to welcome our Greek poetess, and she's got an exciting life and a lot of things on the go, which is so wonderful. And she'll be our featured guest, Dr. Teresa Desalou, National Beat Poetry Festival. She's also a World Poetry Ambassador to Greece, and also has been involved in so many peace programs of world poetry. And she is a physicist, a researcher, and a poet. She's got a new book out about the war, anti-war, and many scientific conferences. And she has been so involved in working with young people and working with comedy, clowns, and poetry with youth. Very exciting. And she is going to be talking about her brand new book, and also possibly her form and clown educational projects that she does, and telling a little bit about that. So we're looking forward to that. And I'll start with a poem of my own from Love Poems to the World. 2019, my last book, Dream Poetry Offerings. And in honor of Teresa, I wanted to say this poem is about Crete. It's a dream poem. Came to me about 1:30 in the morning. And I had been thinking about Ariadne and thinking about my work as a therapist, I guess in my dreams or in my sleep or something, because with the name Ariadne, I've had so many people, painters even, thanking me for helping them get out of the labyrinth. So I wanted to give credit to the original, perhaps, Ariadne, who was a dancer, also a dancer. Crete, I stretch out my fingers across the fabric of time, trying to reach you, Ariadne, my ancient mother, sister, friend. You are dancing in the palace on the island of Crete. I can feel your beautiful movements as you dance on the stone floor, liquid flowing, a work of art. Ariadne, daughter of King Minos, rescuer of Theseus. You dance lost in thought, the wind laps at your ankles, the scent of flowers surrounds you. Each moment you dance is molten liquid, caressing, overlaying images laid down in memories that live forever. Thank you for your name, passed down through the ages, inspiring poems, paintings, helping clients to escape the labyrinth where the Minotaur dwells, trapping them in their lives and then escaping thanks to you. You dance in your moment in time, each step, hand movement, a work of art. Thank you, Ariadne, for sharing your name with me. My love goes out to you over the mists of time. Someday we may meet again. The connection between our fingertips slowly separates. I am fulfilled. So that's to our wonderful Greek poetess and ambassador of peace, and just an amazing lady with so much vibration and so much energy in the cause of peace. So I appreciate that you listened to that. Thank you very much. And I want to go, pardon?
I feel humbled and very honored.
Oh, thank you.
Hello to everybody.
Teresa, yeah, thank you so much. So now I want to go on to our World Poetry reporter and my honored daughter, Kara Downey. And she is going to be talking a little about Buffy Sainte-Marie, who has an interesting story. And she's had a documentary that came out at the 47th Toronto International Film Festival. But I believe the film festival is going all over the world. So welcome, Kara. Thank you so much. And take it away.
Oh, Waka Janajit Iluk. Hello, my friends in my Yupik language. My name is Kara Downey. And I'm reporting to you from the beautiful territory of the Zubasit people here on Vancouver Island. Yeah, and I just wanted to say hello. I'll do the little report on the film called Carry It On. On August 10th, 2022, Buffy Sainte-Marie's documentary Carry It On was premiered at the 47th Toronto International Film Festival. This 90-minute documentary is an intimate look at Buffy Sainte-Marie's personal journey as a groundbreaking singer, songwriter, activist, artist, and teacher. A quote from Buffy about this film: to turn one's life story over to a documentary production is a leap of faith, but with Eagle Vision and White Pine Pictures, the process is feeling natural to me. I look forward to experiencing the story of my life as told through their lens and sharing that story with the world. Buffy Sainte-Marie. Following its world premiere at TIFF, Buffy Sainte-Marie's Carry It On will be released in the fall of 2022, followed by broadcast via Bell Media and APTN Canada in Canada, and November 22nd on PBS American Masters in the USA in collaboration with Vision Maker Media, a fund to support Indigenous made films. Enjoy the film. Kuyana for having me. Back to you, Ariadne.
Okay, thank you. And I thought it was really interesting that Buffy is a storyteller of mixed ancestry, Ojibwe and Celtic, and Russian-Ukrainian settler based out of Winnipeg in Manitoba. And she's also a writer, director, and editor, and that's very exciting. So thank you, Kara, for doing that for Buffy, and I'm sure it is greatly appreciated, although she couldn't be here in person. So now, thank you, Kara, muchas gracias, and moving on now, we're going to be doing welcome to our wonderful World Poetry Volunteer team for 23 years. We're all volunteers. And Victor Schwartzman, our technician, magical technician. Welcome back, Kelly Montgomery, our rhyming poet. And then a longer story by Sharon Rowe, which we didn't have time to read last week because of Diego and some of the other things that were happening. So take it away, Victor and Kelly, and welcome back, Kelly.
Well, thank you much indeed. Welcome back, Kelly, from your family trip. You're back live with us. And do you have an opening poem for us to listen to?
I do. A shell of my own. The tide has gone out. I am laying on the beach. No pain at all. I am quite out of reach. Seashells and starfish on the sand beside me. There still might be signs floating around in the sea. I will be here for a long time. I have nowhere to go. Underneath the clouds, so alive below.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Kelly Montgomery, for that opening poem.
Thank you.
And now I have a story which was delayed from last week just because it was a longer story. We couldn't fit it in, but we do have time this week. This is from the original first Big Bessie stories. There is a sequel, as it were, coming up. The Big Bessie Stories is written by Sharon Rowe, R-O-W-E. It's a 5-star gold 5-star book on Amazon and is still available. This story is called, and it's full of drama and excitement, Big Bessie and the Great Switcheroo. Sharon needed a dental operation. She was worried about it, too worried to sleep. Sharon decided to talk to Dr. Mickey, her family doctor, and get his advice. He told her to have the operation so she could have nice teeth. Dr. Mickey was having an operation too, even before Sharon did. So she decided to follow his advice, even though she was still worried. Sharon set a date with the hospital and phoned Big Bessie, her handy guard, to arrange a ride to the university hospital and then back home after the operation. Big Bessie, of course, said yes. She was worried about Sharon, too. So Big Bessie was going to pick up Sharon early the next morning. Sharon couldn't sleep again. She didn't know what to do. Sir Thomas, her cat, was running around the house, pretending to be a hot rod or a lightning rod or some kind of rod. He couldn't decide which one. He gave Sharon a great idea and a way out of her worrying troubles. Sharon would take Sir Thomas with her to the hospital, and at the last moment switch places with him. Then he would go for the operation, and she would spend the whole day at the university having a good time instead of having dental surgery. What a plan. Early the next morning, Sharon tried to put Sir Thomas, who had his green leash on, in his special cat knapsack. The problem was he kept jumping out of it. Finally, she got him in with some help from her mom and a little catnip. Sir Thomas was not happy. He kept yelling, meow, meow, like what's going on, meow. This was a problem. Sharon told him to go to sleep, but he did not listen to her. Big Bessie drove up to the apartment at that point and tooted, and Sharon had to leave. So Sir Thomas yelled in the elevator, he yelled in the hallway, and he kept on yelling, meowing when they got into Big Bessie. Big Bessie said, "What's the matter, Sharon? Your voice sounds funny." By this time, Sharon was trying to cough every time Sir Thomas meowed. She didn't want Big Bessie to get into trouble for bringing a cat along. Big Bessie said, "Sharon, you really sound sick. You keep coughing. It sounds like you're meowing. Are you trying to learn a new language?" Well, after a while, Sir Thomas wore himself out and did go to sleep. Sharon and Big Bessie were able to talk. They were really old friends, and it was great to talk to each other. They talked all the way to the hospital. When they arrived, Big Bessie stopped and Sharon started to get out. "I'll be back to pick you up," Big Bessie said, as she did a wheelie in the hospital parking lot to cheer Sharon up. The security guard shook his fist at Big Bessie's back as she sped away as fast as she could. Now, all that noise had awakened Sir Thomas again, who by now was really, really mad at being closed up in the knapsack without any food, water, or his litter box. Inside the hospital, Sharon had to go through all the forms, and she tried to cover up Sir Thomas's meows with coughs. She was planning to switch with Sir Thomas at the very last minute. All went well, and Sharon asked the attendant, between practicing her meowing, if she could take her knapsack with her. The attendant left her in front of the operating room for a few moments. Now was the time to pull the great switch. Sharon jumped off the bed and pulled an indignant Sir Thomas out. She quickly wrapped and buckled his leash to the bed and pulled the covers tight around him with a corner over his head. She hated to do this to him, but she was desperate. Sir Thomas was speechless, or should I say, meowless. He couldn't believe this was happening to him. The attendant came back, and Sharon hid behind a screen. Sir Thomas was wheeled into the operating room. I'm getting all choked up. The surgeon, who thought a good deal of himself, was showing off to some medical students he had with him. He came up to the bed and said, "Sharon, we are going to make your teeth as good as new and perfect." He whipped the blanket off and saw Sir Thomas's face with two glowing eyes glaring at him. "My friend," he said, he had lost his glasses somewhere, "you have a very narrow face, and in fact, you don't really look human." Well, that was the last insult that poor Sir Thomas, who had suffered a lot already, could take. He launched himself, claws extended with very sharp nails, straight at the surgeon's face. He moved so fast that the leash broke. The surgeon backed up. "Feisty little thing, aren't you?" he said. He was keeping his cool in front of his medical students. Well, Sir Thomas did not stop to chat. He tore down the corridor, dragging his leash behind him, with the surgeon in full pursuit, yelling, "Come back, Sharon, come back. I didn't know you could run so fast." Well, Sir Thomas was happy to see a friendly face when he saw Sharon, and he jumped straight into her arms. Looking over Sharon's shoulder, he delivered a final hiss at the surgeon, who was just catching up with them. Meanwhile, Big Bessie had decided to come back early. She was still worried about Sharon. She spied Sharon and Sir Thomas running as fast as they all could toward the parking lot, with doctors, nurses, even patients running after them. Big Bessie saw what was happening and did an illegal U-turn. Big Bessie usually never did such a thing, but things were looking bad. This was not in the book of normal, acceptable handy-dart behavior, not illegal U-turns. So Big Bessie stopped right in front of Sharon and Sir Thomas and opened her door. They jumped right in, and Big Bessie made a quick getaway. Big Bessie said, "You need to put that cat in the knapsack. I am not supposed to give rides to loose animals. However, that was easier said than done since Sir Thomas would not go back into that knapsack. They had to settle for Sharon wrapping her coat around Sir Thomas and holding him tight, but the long day was not over. As Big Bessie went by Sharon's day program, they heard a loud pop. Big Bessie had a flat tire. Oh no. And by this time, Sharon was starving, and Sir Thomas was missing his litter box. Big Bessie said, look, go on in and eat dinner. It's Tuesday night. There will be food. I will send another handy dart to pick you up and take you home. Please, Sharon, put that cat back in the knapsack when the other dart picks you up. So Sharon and Sir Thomas got out and made a quick stop at the park next to the day program so Sir Thomas could find a cat box. Sharon had discovered a few cat crunchies, some food, in her coat pocket, and she was able to coax Sir Thomas back into the knapsack by putting the food at the bottom of it. And as soon as he got in, she zipped him up. Sharon then walked into the day program with a less than happy cat that had finished his food and was not happy to be locked in the pack again. She had to start coughing to cover up his meows. The people at the day program thought she had gone round the bend. One friend thought he saw two gleaming eyes staring out of Sharon's back, and that Sharon had grown another pair of eyes. At last, after eating and saving some tidbits for Sir Thomas, Sharon went home in another handy dart, who was a friend of Big Bessie's. Once at home, after eating Sharon's tidbits, Sir Thomas did not speak to Sharon for a week. And I will add to the story that Sharon did go back to the hospital because in the end, she would not benefit from someone else getting her dental work. She had to get the dental work done herself. And Sharon was brave, went back to the hospital despite her worries, got it done, and all went well. And Sir Thomas licked her on the face when she got home. I hope you like my addition to the ending. And that's the end of the story. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Oh, that was the old kitty that has passed away at 20, but we now have a new Sir Thomas Big Kimball after our
Yes, for
ancestor.
people who didn't know, there was Thomas Frid Kibble the first, who was the cat in the story. And now there is the second, who apparently is lying on the floor with all his paws up in the air right now.
Beating the heat, yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you, Victor, for that. And I just wanted to say
you're welcome.
Parts of it were true. The doctor was very showing off to his students, and there were a few more mishaps at the hospital I won't go into, but yeah, there's some truth in the story.
Oh, and by the way, the doctor, before he did the operation on Sharon, did find his glasses and put them back on.
We hope so.
We hope so. Okay, great.
I wouldn't bet on it. Anyway, thank you so much, Victor, for doing that. It meant so much to Sharon. I know it's a longer one, and I'm sorry, Teresa has to wait for so long, but now we have the great honor of introducing more fully Dr. Teresa Becerra. Oh boy, maybe you can correct that.
Elisario.
Okay, Becerra. Okay, so I just wanted to say she's a mother, a professor, a physicist, a researcher, and a poet. And she's a teacher of physics. And are you calling from Athens or Larissa?
I'm calling from Larissa.
Yeah, that's right. And you had postgraduate degrees in production of teaching materials, researchers on new ways of teaching science through arts, workshops of creative writing. So many wonderful things that she's done. She just deserves an award for all the wonderful things that she's done. World Poetry Canada, International Peace. She's been involved in our peace-a-thons and Women's Stream, organizer and animator of various form and clown theater workshops and spectacles with Caravan Theater in Toulouse, France. And she was awarded first International Beat Poet Laureate 2017 to 18 at the National Beat Poetry Festival in Connecticut, and Lifetime Beat Poet Laureate. Wow, it's so exciting. She speaks English, French, German, and Italian. And she's traveled twice in the US in the last 4 years, in France, Poland, Romania, and in Germany and the Czech Republic as a poet or an educated project manager. Next year, she plans to travel to Spain, Italy, France, Germany, and Sweden. And she also has, with 4 other partners, the Edu Europe, and a synopsis of her new book, published by Local Gems. It's a book of, about the Greek financial crisis. And she also has a new book out that she'll tell us all about anti-war. And we're just so honored to have you, and welcome to the show.
I'm honored to be with you, and I feel very okay with you, relaxed. It is a beautiful show. I enjoyed the story before with Big Bessie, and well, I wrote about something very difficult to write about, the war, and I tried to put some, let's say, sarcasm, humor in it. So I thought to write it in a style that has this kind of things in its structure. The Senryu poem.
Yeah, they're really beautiful.
Yes, the Senryu poems are like haiku, but they talk about social matters that move the poet, and also they put sarcasm and satire and humor in the poem, in these social matters. I try to see the title of my book is 100 Senryu about World War III, and it's first page. It's front page is one of my digital art paintings. It is an owl, in fact. This is an owl that says, let's be vigilant. And this is me, in fact. This owl is me. She's very worried. She seems very worried and very colorful. This is controversial, of course, but this is what I feel. I feel that the human race has evolved in culture, in education, in knowledge, in emotions, in civilized things, the same as it remains violent. There are two options in humanity, in the human race, two faces, as if it was an old god who had two heads. One we see beautiful things, and the other moment we see so ugly things. So I tried to describe this in my book, and to show what I feel about to move people about the fraud of the war. Why war is is happening? Is it truly people that fight together, or perhaps there are something else, some other interest behind it? People couldn't talk with each other and resolve their problems. Of course they could. Of course they could. And this would be the better we could do in Europe. And most people want this. Why the war is happening is irrational, is crazy. And it is happening, as I describe in my book, I think, because there are interests behind this war. There are financial interests and trade interests. Anyway, this hypothesis I made in the book was very welcomed by very interesting poets around the world. They wrote wonderful blurbs. You too. Thank you. I asked them to read the book. First, because I wanted to be sure that I was writing something important, but because there is no meaning to write about something so ugly if you cannot say something important.
I think I was going to say, I think that your book is so phenomenal for that, and it gets people thinking, gets people involved. And I agree with you that I think that most wars stem from need for power over others, financial wealth, and I don't know, just it's something that seems to crop up over history over and over again. It's like a pattern that people cannot get rid of, and I think your book is so important because it shows and lets people know, in short terms, sort of manageable bites instead of huge, long poems or rants or whatever. So it was an honor to be included, and thank you so much.
Yes. That was what I wanted to say about my book. If someone wants to read it, wish to read it, he can find it in Amazon, on Amazon, 100 with number 100 Senryu with Y, against World War III. World War III, WW3. If someone wants it to read it, okay. If someone who doesn't know me or want to say something about the war, he can go to my book and write something on the comments on the as a comment.
Yeah, that's right. And it's also in Kindle, isn't it, for those?
Yes.
For those people that don't want to buy the paper book, it's also in Kindle. So that's really good. And also, I wanted to ask you about your trip to Connecticut. And
yes,
I had somebody ahead of your coming on that's quite enthusiastic, and I said, "What is a beat poet?" And I couldn't really say anything about it, but I know, like Donna and you.
Well, I am a beat poet. I didn't believe that I was, but they persuaded me. They persuaded me that I am a big poet. So I will
what is a beat
I will
poetry?
explain. I will explain you what is the purpose of our organization. Now I'm deep in this organization, in this foundation, the National Beat Poetry Foundation, Inc. That is, in fact, we have a leader, one leader, Debbie Tosun Kilday. She is not. She's not. We have democratic, let's say, ideas for the organization, but Debbie is the representation of democracy, I think, and kindness. So no one ever thought that she could be, she couldn't be, she would be the leader in the future. She will be the leader always because she is the best. So I want to talk to you about my organization, the organization that I am a member. But I say my organization because we all call it family. So I feel it is my family, my American family, in fact. The National Beat Poetry Foundation is a non-profit organization which includes the festivals, National Beat Poetry Festival, national and international now, Beat Poetry Festival. We call it NBPF. And Goddess Festival, while we continue to preserve the writings of the beat generation, we strive to keep evolving to create a new beat generation of poets, writers, artists, and musicians. We are dedicated to hosting, collaborating, and fostering joint partnerships for beat-themed poetry, readings, workshops, plays, radio shows locally across the United States and worldwide. The National Beat Poetry Foundation, Inc. supports the further development and exposure of non-traditional poetry for people of all ages and backgrounds within communities where interest is significant and or where interest needs support. The beat generation's significant writings and history of its original prime movers lives on from its inception in the early 40s, and its legacy continues today by way of new writers, poets, artists, and musicians of disparate influences and means of expression.
Wow.
The NBPF is committed to not only supporting venues in existence, but also in developing new venues where cultural preservation and the works of new artists can show the living voices of today and can connect them with the first beat poets.
One question, Teresa, do they have a website so people could get more information?
Yes, the website has the same name with the organization, National Beat Poetry Foundation. and it is easy to be found on the internet.
Okay, that's great.
We
like
welcome members from every country.
Mhm.
For the time being, people who take part in our events in person or online, Zoom, for example, and recite their poems and then help the foundation continuously as artists, volunteers, disseminators, and perhaps as sponsors, but it is not necessary. It are considered members enough. Our CEO is okay, but she is always okay, and she is the founder of the organization and the biggest sponsor.
I was going to ask you 1 minute for interrupting, sorry. When is the next one? And you're going in 2 weeks?
Yes. Our festival is during the Labor Day, the Labor weekend in Connecticut. That means September 2, 3, and 4.
Wow. Right away. Yeah. Also, I'd like to.
We will have.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we will have a Zoom also that it will with video poems, with video recitations from, or perhaps live. Some poets come to Zoom live and present themselves during I Zoom the videos. The videos are video recitations from poets that wanted to come to the festival, but they couldn't. So we give them an opportunity, for example, international poets.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I just wanted to ask that Kelly Montgomery, who asks really good questions, and he sometimes, before we go, I wanted to ask him if he has a question.
We got a couple, but we just ask one. You talked about the human race evolving. You find that spiritually is happening as well?
I think that yes.
Okay.
Always spirituality is evolving.
Okay.
But there are two phases, I think, in the human race. There are two phases because we are many. We are not brought up the same way. We don't think the same ideas. We don't have the same ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We are not nurtured the same way. I don't know. We have not the same awareness. We have not the same awareness. And that's why we must work on that,
right,
on awareness.
Okay.
Okay, Kelly, do you have one more quick question? So
Yeah, sure. Just curious if you talk about a bit about the precursor to beat poetry. I'm thinking specifically about Walt Whitman. I'm just curious.
Yes, it is not only Whitman. It is Jack Kerouac.
Oh,
course.
yeah.
Yes, and other poets. Okay, many poets. Ferlinghetti. We have living poets. Still have living real old people, beat poets in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
We give them awards, and they're very happy. People is remembering them, still remember them, and this year we have many nominees, several nominees. We have the John Barrows as the U.S. National Beat Poet Laureate. Jamie Cassidy, who was a niece, and that I don't remember. She has a very close relationship with Kerouac, and she wrote a very beautiful book about him, about this relationship of her mother's with of her family with Kerouac.
Right.
And we have as international poet Carlos the Happy, Carlos Spivey, who is an Englishman who is who dedicated his life in beat poetry. He writes also poetry, but he showcases beat poets. In fact, yes, the beat
that's-
poets.
that's
We
great.
have we have Ron Whitehead. We make a lifetime beat poets, new generation beat poets. Our members: Ron Whitehead, Paul Richmond, Chris Vanoy, Annie Petrie Sauter, Pamela Tweenan, who is very who was very involved in the beat movement. Rescue Poetics, Sandra Finn, Dan Inche, Joe Kidd, who was also very involved in the beat movement. Ron Whitehead, that I said first, was in fact the something like the connection, the connecting poet between all these poets.
Right.
He connected Kerouac, Ferlinghetti. He was friend with all of them, and now he has a very beautiful stories to say to us, and he writes great poems about all this that happened after 1940 until today.
Well, I'd like to,
And
yeah.
Johnny Depp, you know Johnny Depp,
Right.
is also one of our honorees this year, because he's very fond of the beat movement. He's very connected with beat poets that are still alive, and he's a fan of Kerouac.
Oh,
So
okay.
we decided to give him an award for that.
Oh, that's so great. Well, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
one
coming
more-
on and
one-
telling us
one more
all
quick-
about it.
One more quick question for Carissa.
Yes.
I'm just curious. It's a short
um,
question. It's
Oh,
short.
boy. Okay.
Sorry. I'm just wondering
We
how
have-
old you were when you first went on the road.
Hi, this is Victor Jescani, and we do have, I think, time. I'll just cut out that hesitation, but we do have time. Don't worry about it, Kelly. So go ahead with
Okay.
your question.
Okay. Yeah, it's a quick question. I'm just wondering how old were you when you first read On the Road?
How old? I
Yeah.
was not a beat poet. I was not a beat fan. I became a beat fan. I was thinking that I didn't know any of them. In the end, when I started to write poems, they chose me as a beat poet. The foundation chose me as a beat poet in Greece. They were reading different poets in Greece on the internet, and they decided that I was a beat poet. So they invited me to know them, because I'm very grateful to them. They show off me. They show anyway what they did. They called me in the United States. Anyway, they gave me the words. I started to analyze and make events about beat poetry and read a lot.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariadne.
So I read beat poetry for the past 12 years.
Okay, thank you so much.
Well,
Thank
I just wanted to, if we have a moment, I just wanted to talk about next week for a minute.
Ariadne, before you do that, I have a question.
Yeah,
We do have time. We do have time. I think we have 10 minutes, actually. Okay?
okay.
Okay, we're almost done. I'll cut that part out, but Krissa,
Okay.
I understand that you have an audio clip for us. I wondered if
Yes.
you'd like to introduce that audio clip and then we'll play it.
Yes, the audio clip, I will send it to you. It is about, it is made from Frederick Inyard, who is a musician, Swedish musician, and one of our great poets, beat poets that I admire, I really admire, Chris Van Noy. He is alive, of course. He's not from the old ones, but he knew many of them. And he writes beautifully. He has written the words in this audio clip. And we use this audio clip as a motto, let's say, of the organization, as a promo and motto. Φτάνουν 100 χαϊκού για να θρηνήσεις την απώλεια. Βιαιότητες, ομαδική τάφη και βουβαπτώματα. Κακοί ιονοί, κατάρες, εγκλήματα, ομιχλώδες μέλλον. Πενθούν 100 ποιηματάκια το χαμό της καλοσύνης. Λόγια τέλειωτα, λόγια που στερεύουν μόλις σκάσει μια νάρκη. Μετά το λοιμό βγάζουμε ο ένας τα άλλου τα μάτια. Ήμι. Are 100 haiku enough to protest against the loss of world peace? Violence and hate, mass graves, inhumanity, and silent corpses. Bad omens, causes, war crimes, and imperialism, a foggy future. Can 100 poems mourn and console the wise ones while evil prevails? Endless useless words, rhetoric that runs out when a mind explodes. Just after the plague, we take out each other's eyes. What paranoia.
So after 2 years of being news, stymied by the pandemic, the Vancouver Fringe Festival is returning with live theater this year from September 8th to 18th. And a wonderful poet who has performed on the World Poetry Cafe many times, her name is Michelle Merlent, and she will be presenting a wonderful story in verse called Songbird of Vienna, set in the late 1800s in the glittering capital city of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the story of a struggling composer named Franz Liszt. His dreams of making music crushed, his on the point of giving up when by chance he discovers and rescues a baby bird in distress. One small act of kindness leads to a change in fortune in ways he could never imagine. It is a wonderful tale, heartwarming, about luck, love, friendship, and perseverance. And that's, she hopefully will be on next week. She's very excited. We also have our featured guest, the wonderful Malik Ahmed, who is been with World Poetry for many years, and we really appreciate his sending his poems in. And next week he will be in person, so that is very exciting. So once again, thanks everybody. Thanks to Victor for his great work. Thanks to Carissa, and thanks to Kelly, and thanks to Sharon. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you very much. Great show, and good luck, Carissa, on your trip
Thank
and
you.
all the work that you're doing.
Thank you all. Thank you all. It was
Well,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. And Kelly Montgomery, do you have a closing poem for us, please?
I do have a closing poem. Thank you. Faith in a higher power. I was skeptical to the most. I couldn't see anyone to impress. We all are naked after we undress. Saw the danger in religion, how you gave yourself away. I somehow knew certain things, but I didn't know how much I would pay. So now here I am, a product of 100 things, feeling light in the soul that believing does bring.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, everybody, I'll just close by saying we've been listening to the World Poetry Cafe, broadcast each Thursday on CFRO-FM from the downtown Lower East Side of Vancouver. We are also on Mixcloud, and if you're listening to this, you probably know some of that already by now. So thanks so much for listening. And now to conclude our show, we have a poem coming up from Malik Ahmed, who will be a guest next week.
The drums of war between Russia and Ukraine are beating louder. At a moment when our world has not yet fully recovered from a massive pandemic hit causing the loss of millions of lives. Some experts say this war might even spread into a third world war. It's a very scary moment for humanity. I thought today I will read another peace poem. I wrote this poem last year in June, and this poem is called A Cry for Peace by Malik Ahmed. Some world leaders are like the frogs in an open basket. While one jumps in, the other jumps out. The United Nations can't reach a consensus. At least one of the giants would give a veto. The world gets divided over power, greed, and ego. Some powerful nations attack the weaker ones to establish power, to steal their resources. Innocent children die of the bombardment by the fighter bombers. The pregnant mothers die with the unborn in the womb. Dead bodies and body parts from among the ravages smell foul in the air. The survivor dogs, standing over the ruins, howl for hours. In the United Nations menu, selfishness seems to be on top of the list. Justice gets denied, getting hit by a lion's paw. Democracy dies. A veto power needs to be seized. Humanity cries. The United Nations, you shouldn't be simply an empty flower vase, a puppet of the giants. Rather, we demand you to stop all the ongoing wars, genocide, and mass murder, and establish security and peace all over the world.
And that was another fine poem from Malik Ahmed, A Cry for Freedom. It really fit right in, Malik, with the rest of the show, including that last poem from our guest. So, you have been listening to the World Poetry Cafe on CFRO-FM, live streaming from the Lower East Side of downtown Vancouver. Malik Ahmed will be back as a featured guest next week, so please be sure and listen to that, as well as Kelly Montgomery and, of course, Ariadne Sawyer, our wonderful host and producer, who's been doing this show now for 23 years, a show that is now listened to in, at last count, 159 countries. So again, thank you so much for listening today to the World Poetry Cafe, and be looking forward to doing a broadcast for you next week, next Thursday on CFRO FM.